See, to act, your mind, it is like a gun. And you want to load it up with little itty bitty bullets of knowledge.
What's going on, family? It's your guy Boro, the Lucky Libra, and thank you for tuning into another episode. Alright, and as you can see by the title, we picking up the Debilitation series. Actually, we're not picking it up. I have an intro video, alright, but for the most part we're starting the Debilitation series with my Aries. Alright, we breaking down the debilitation of the Aries zodiac sign. So once again, when we talk about the debilitation in the planet that falls in your zodiac sign, this is an energy that you're naturally going to deal with a weakness. You're going to be vulnerable with this energy, maybe with insecurities dealing with this energy. Okay, this is the planetary ruler that's opposite from you. Alright, so if you have this placement, if you have Saturn in Aries, or if you have Venus in Aries, which would be the debilitation and fall of Aries, then you know you can correlate to this energy, even if you're not an Aries sun moon rising, but if you have some of these placements. However, this is what we're breaking down, and why we want to understand our debilitation and fall state placements is to help us understand where we naturally have crutches at, to help us understand how to prep ourselves for situations that deals with that frequency vibration, to help us stay spiritually prepared for lessons and experiences dealing with this energy, because we all gonna attract them in some way, shape, or form. Alright, so Aries, let's get right into it. Cardinal fire, ruled by Mars. Alright, debilitation of Venus, debilitation fall of Saturn. So with Aries being cardinal fire, cardinal is the initiator, the starter, the pioneer. Fire deals with seeing, feeling, expression, awareness, visions. Alright, then we got Mars dealing with your passions, your goals, your willpower, your vitality, how you set intentions overall. Also dealing with anger and frustration when Mars don't get to meet the intentions that is set, or its passions and goals. So that's the Aries archetype. But when we get into the debilitation and fall, we have a debilitation of Venus, which is opposite from Aries, alright, home in Libra, home in the 7th house. Then we have the fall of Saturn, which is exalted in Libra, exalted in the 7th house. So let's start with Venus. Okay, now what is Venus? Venus is how we love, how we appreciate. Remember, the planets are tools that we use. Alright, it's a frequency vibration, but as spirits coming into the solar system, we use these planets to navigate this experience. Okay, so when we look at Venus, Venus is how we love, how we appreciate, deals with relating, deals with compromising, deals with our value system, deals with pleasures that we seek and how we may have to moderate, or how we may overindulge with our pleasures, how we connect, and it also filters our feelings, what we like and love. So when this is debilitated in Aries, off rip, the natural archetype of Aries struggles dealing with love. Okay, this is one of the signs, one of the 3 signs that is debilitated with Venus energy, which that would be Aries, Scorpio, and Virgos. They all don't do well with Venus energy. Okay, so when we look at Venus here, Aries, when it comes to them having to take their confident personal ways of how they see and feel things and how they want to act on things, and when they have to deal with Venus energy, aka relating it to somebody else before they do it, doing it with somebody else, changing their original vision, their innovative vision. You have to understand, Aries deal with, it's the birth, it's the pioneer. So fire already needs to express and cultivate a shape and form for how they feel or what they see. That's why fire signs come off so goddamn creative, because they're giving us ways to interpret their visions besides just maybe the way they verbalize it, but through their music, through how they dance, through their art. through their spoken word, through their poetry, you know, whatever it is that they creatively into. And they naturally do that within the fields of work that they're in, because they're dealing with that fire, dealing with acting and expressing how they see and feel about things. So they're going to come off creative to a lot of people. But when we have Venus here, Aries don't want to, when it comes to having to compromise and bend and relate these original visions, they just want to act on it. It's cardinal Mars energy. It wants to start, initiate it, whatever plan, action, form of expression when it comes to how it sees and feels its visions. And then it's Mars. Mars don't want to compromise. Mars, what? Drake? No. Mars not with no compromising. Mars sets an intention and wants to go ahead and dive head first into it. Mars sets an intention, and it's the god of war. It'll meet confrontation. It'll fight for its goals. So when we got Venus here that's dealing with being passive, relatable, compromising with others, valuing other people's feelings and whatnot, this is what Aries struggle with. So Aries, you need to understand this when it comes to the relationships that you value. Aries can meet a lot of confrontation and clashes in your relationships when you know you love somebody, but when it comes to the situations where you have to learn to either compromise, where you have to learn that you can't always wear the pants, where you have to learn that, you know, you're not always in a state of seeing where the other person's perspective or feelings may fit into things, and you want to kind of dominate a relationship or have the control over a relationship. That's when you can meet some issues dealing with meeting balance with people that you do resonate with. So even expressing the feelings here can make an Aries vulnerable, because Venus is debilitated here. So when the Aries does have feelings for somebody, when the Aries does love somebody and wants to connect some form of affection or whatnot, not only some Aries may have not even experienced love like that because Venus is debilitated. So experiencing love for Aries at times, that's a motherfucking struggle on his own to even experience the shit. And then when it does, or anything close to some real motherfucking love, Aries could feel like it, to even communicate it, relate it, it could feel vulnerable in these spaces. So Aries, understanding this, you want to embrace that vulnerability. You want to embrace that vulnerability, because that's the only way you're going to learn to deal with that love, to deal with emotions, to deal with connecting it, to deal with seeing where your vibration and somebody else's vibe matches, knowing that you want to build with this person, knowing you want to connect with this person. With Venus being debilitated here, not only in your intimate romantic relationships, think about the clashes you guys may have had within your households, with co-workers, within career, because your archetype is laser focused and dialed into how it personally sees and feels about things. So when it comes to having to work with others, once again, relate that to others, possibly have to compromise with others depending on how others feel about things, that just make you very highly uncomfortable. And it could also manifest in y'all kind of expressing yourself in extremes, depending the situation, depending how cluttered y'all feel, depending how much pressure is being applied to y'all way to make you have to compromise. That's the worst thing I know, that y'all hate dealing with that, being forced to compromise, let alone dealing with authority or something. So understanding this Venus energy, I just want you guys to understand this, moving on with relationships that you do look at as a fruitful relationship to you, that you do value, and something that you're dealing with that involves other parties. You know, at times there's gonna be moments where you get that gut instinct and that, you know, subconscious influence to understand. You're always gonna feel, may not be able to perceive it the right way, but you're always gonna feel the moments where you understand that you may have to open up and connect some more, or you may have to take that hurdle to open up a portal for you and another party to connect, or you and another party to work harmoniously. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with when we're dealing with the debilitation of Venus. So we always want to keep that in mind. It's like your Achilles heel, Aries. You don't want people to poke at it. You don't want people to know that they could poke at your emotions as well and get you out of character. The debilitation of Venus, when it comes to what you value, that can make you vulnerable when people deal with what you value. That's why you're not in the state of really expressing them and putting them out in the air. So once people realize what is it that you love, what you value, just like anybody, we don't have to be an Aries, but whenever something that we love, like somebody we love or whatever, is in danger or whatnot, that's we jump into Superman mode. You know, we trying to protect what's close to the heart chakra. But for the most part, when it comes to things that y'all value, y'all can play out extremes, and it'll be hard to get settled and be calculated to see how to deal with a situation, because just all them feelings and love, that shit is just like the Aries already know. Y'all just, that shit can make y'all uncomfortable. This is why when y'all are in love, for y'all to have truly experienced love or a real strong connection with somebody, is like you can when we talk on an intimate romantic level, you guys are some of the most passionate lovers, some of the most devoted lovers. Because once again, when them signs that got Venus debilitations, like and I got heavy Scorpio energy. I have Venus in the 8th house, y'all, so I got Venus debilitations too. But it's like, when you have them signs, Aries, Scorpios, and Virgos that deal with Venus debilitations by default, because it's in their archetype, it's like a lot of times these signs get love and they hold on to that motherfucker. And I don't know when it's gonna come back around. I don't know when that shit gonna come back around. So a lot of them signs will do that. You know, Aries could do it real passionately and be real single-minded about making sure they could control the love, because they don't want it to get out they could be aggressive with their intent, trying to, you know, manage and control the love. Then you got the Virgos that could get just clingy, trying to connect to the love, feel it. Feel that motherfuckers want to feel as much love as it can. Then you got Scorpios that is like is the love be building up, be so much love there, but to connect that, bring it all the way up to the surface, let somebody else feel it. Sometimes it's just got to go through so many stages to connect that sometimes. So, you know, all deal with it different ways, but Scorpios will love you hard though. Scorpios will love you hard. Scorpios got all that rep and whatever about being this, that, and the third, you know. But if you ain't really into astrology, really into it, and you, like, Scorpio's water, so, and is dealing with some passion, so they could be some of the most passionate lovers as well, as just like Aries, okay. Loyal lovers too, Scorpios. You in something tight with a Scorpio. Scorpio could look at that like, okay, we're going to hone in on this love. We're going to hone in on this connection. But back to Aries dealing with the Venus debilitation. This is what y'all want to understand, okay? Don't allow yourselves to make your emotions a target, and embrace situations that deal with compromising with others. Embrace situations, especially when you know situations dealing with, you know, career collaborations, you know, new fruitful relationships that look like you got potential to build on or align yourself with people who's into what you're into, Aries. You want to make sure that this Venus energy doesn't play out situations where it's constantly creating clashes with others based on how you personally see and feel about things. Remember, Aries, you dealing with that archetype, you guys teach us how to be individuals and embrace our natural visions, embrace how we are able to construct our personal ways of expressing ourselves. However, that energy we all have to learn to transform and adapt, and that energy can't always be dialed into your personal outlook when Venus is involved, when relatability is involved, when relationships is involved, and you can't duck that. You live in Earth, gotta relate to people, gotta connect, networking at times, and be able to deal with other parties. So this is what y'all want to keep in mind, Aries. All right, now let's talk about the fall state energy, which is Saturn. All right, now when we look at fall states, like I said in the intro series, fall states are going to play out more subconscious energies. This is going to be the planet that's opposite from where it's exalted at. So Saturn is exalted in the opposite sign, Libra, in the 7th house, so that would make it in its fall state when it gets into Aries. So this, like I said earlier, this video also applies to you if you have Venus in Aries, or Saturn in Aries, or Venus in the 1st house, Saturn in the 1st house. So with Saturn here, what does Saturn represent? Saturn represents restrictions, limitations, boundaries, order, structure, confinement. All right? Business, time, patience. All right? Discipline. So, based off what we know about Cardinal Fire, the Ram, the birth, dive right head in first into things, goal oriented, expressive of how it personally sees and feels. What about that energy deals with what about that energy sounds like it deals with anything dealing with restriction or patience? Not a damn thing. All right? And that's the thing here. When we look at Saturn being sleep, my favorite astrologer, Dolo the Pilot Man, who I learned tons from, he correlates the fall planets to being called sleep, because once again they're playing out more subconscious energies. So sometimes when it comes to your fall state planets, you do things that you never thought you could do. You deal with vulnerabilities, insecurities. With Saturn here, Aries have to learn how to deal with more time and patience. Have to learn to deal with more organization. Aries is good living life off their raw way of seeing and feeling about things, going off the raw instinct and the fly of things. Aries, they don't mind. They can live life off that thrill. Now Mars is gonna be goal oriented and want to set intentions and be pinpointed. So you're gonna have Aries that's gonna have the intentions of what they want to do. However, Aries is also about giving birth to things. But with Saturn being debilitated here, being in its fall state, Aries have to learn in life how much organization gives a container and gives structure to their creative visions, to your feelings, to the way you see life, to the way you perceive things. Aries have to learn how to implement doing things with more time. Aries, one of the zodiac signs can't stand time. Y'all can't stand time, and I mean that in a real esoteric, spiritual way. Cause time is really that's here. That's like physical reality. Time doesn't really exist. That shit exists here. So it's like time is really a man-made thing. So when we look at Aries struggling with time, this is going to show that certain situations in your life that need patience, this is where y'all got to work on, Aries. Aries, when y'all so passionate about something, y'all know y'all about to be locked in and focused on a certain goal, concept, something that you're trying to build, an endeavor that you're on, you have to understand that's not going to come overnight. And you have to understand things can be sped up depending on your work ethic or how much energy you're applying to what you're working on. But at the same time, not everything is overnight. Nothing is overnight. I said not everything. Nothing is overnight. At least not anything that's worth it overnight. Esoterically speaking, that doesn't apply to anything in the fucking physical realm. You feel me? I got a ticket right now. I got a ticket right now on a couple of teams, some hockey teams, some NBA teams. That could be some overnight success, but we ain't talking about physical. We esoterically speaking right now. So, Aries, y'all need to understand when y'all set intentions on things. This gonna need time, and I'm gonna be able to learn I gotta learn to pace myself and not burn out. And a lot of y'all don't burn out because y'all have such a high vitality. Once again, the sun represents your body, your charge, your expression, how you act on things. So when it's in Aries, it's exalted. It's in the strongest peak. It's in the strongest energy. When spring starts, that's the new year. That's the esoteric new year. So the sun is at its strongest. Everything is growing. All right, that's the sunlight we all like. So when we talk about Saturn here, that's just what Aries have to keep in mind. You have to understand when things that you're embarking on, they need time, they need patience. Right now, Mars is in Taurus as I speak. All right, we're experiencing Mars in Taurus, and Mars don't like to be in Taurus, which rules Aries. Mars don't like to be in Taurus. Why? Because it has to deal with patience. It has to deal with time. And what happens what does Taurus teach us? What happens when we put patience and time into things that we value? they motherfucking grow. It's gonna grow. So Aries, things are gonna grow. And you creative enough to always manage a new way how you can attack something, attack a goal. But when it comes to your relationships and who you cooperating with and different parties and how to deal with your feelings and love, embracing that vulnerability with Venus debilitated there, that's gonna be a life lesson. When we look at Saturn, learning how to place more restriction on yourself, Aries, because at times you guys could feel like y'all don't need to place restriction on yourself. At times y'all gonna feel like y'all don't need no rules, y'all don't need no structure. I could give a fuck about a lot of the rules and structure in the society that we live in the matrix we live in today, but I believe in us all having personal rules to govern ourselves. I believe in us all having personal forms of structure. And Aries, this is what you have to understand, that you have to do with yourself personally. And you're going to see how much is going to grow from your creativity or your ways of personally expressing yourself, or from the ways you see things, or from your visions that you implement into different areas of life, Aries. But we need to work on that Saturn energy. You need to believe in that Saturn energy more so. You need to believe that things can grow over time, because it's different from the debilitation. So debilitations is more so is weak, but it's alive and it's existing and it's doing what it got to do. It's just real opposite from where it's at. So Venus is learning, all right? As an Aries, you guys are learning how to deal with that love, okay? And Venus in Aries is learning how to compromise more, instead of just valuing how it personally sees and feel about things. Saturn, on the other side, it's in a subconscious state. So you need to more so believe, like how you believe in your dreams, your imagination, just like how Saturn is in its subconscious, in its sleep state. You need to believe that things can happen over time, Aries. Because sometimes when it don't happen like this for Aries, then yeah, they're like, all right, whatever, I'm good. I don't even want to do it no more. I'm good. I'm straight. And we don't want to get too comfortable with that type of mindset. Alright guys, so y'all already know what it is. It's your guy Boulder, Lucky Libra, breaking down the debilitations to each zodiac sign to help us understand where our Achilles heels and our crutches are at, so we could strengthen the mugs, being able to use them as tools on our journey, turning our weaknesses into strengths, especially in this year 2021, when we're working on building our new reality. Alright y'all, so thank you for tuning into another one. Make sure y'all tap into my website to connect with the Lucky Libra, and make sure y'all check out the Patreon, where I'm diving into more exclusive content, celebrity synastry breakdowns, monthly classes, and more. Until next time, family, peace.